Imagine this, a lonely man with no family and no friends, living a quiet life working with animals. Then one day he spots a girl on the bus, but she doesn't recognize him. What if everything you thought about their chance meeting was about to spiral into something dark and deadly? This is a story of obsession, control, and a chilling secret buried beneath an animal shelter. Just when you think you've seen it all, bam! You won't believe what happens next. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Dropping a like and a comment is the least you can do to show some love. And like we always say, even if some stories seem the same, they ain't never the same when I'm the one telling them. Right from the start, Seth's world feels like a cold, empty cage. No family, no friends, just endless loneliness wrapped in routine. He works for animal control, where the only lives he touches belong to scared creatures, not people. His days blur into a dull cycle. Work, home, repeat, and social life, that's a ghost story in his world. But Seth likes it that way. No risks, no pain, just the quiet company of animals he understands. So one evening, on his usual bus ride home, something shatters that silence. He spots a girl, and instantly, she pulls every bit of his attention like a magnet. Without thinking twice, Seth steps forward and says, "Hello," but there's a catch. She doesn't even recognize him. He tries to break the tension, calling her Holly, saying they went to high school together. But Holly's eyes go blank, like he's a stranger in a world she never knew. Curious but a little shaken, Seth pushes on. Holly pulls out a diary, her daily habit of pouring out thoughts, feelings, and memories into its pages. There's something about her openness that Seth can't ignore, a strange pull that feels like a lifeline. Nervously, he asks if she wants to grab coffee, but Holly shuts him down hard. She's already taken and busy working as a waitress. Before he can say another word, she's off the bus, leaving Seth clutching disappointment like a shadow. But Seth can't let her go. So he turns to social media, diving deep into the digital sea to find more about Holly, desperate to hold on to the flicker of connection that's suddenly become his whole world. The next day, Seth feels the heavy weight of loneliness pressing down even more. So he opens up to Nate, the security guard at work, a rare glimpse of trust in a world where people keep their distance. Looking for some kind of clue on how to win Holly's heart, Seth asks, "How do you impress a girl?" Nate's answer is sharp and simple: confidence. "Girls love confident guys," he says, like it's the secret to the universe. But Seth's confidence feels fragile, like glass ready to shatter with the slightest touch. Before he can plan his next move, an urgent call pulls him back to the animal control office. Lexi, a shepherd dog he had quietly grown attached to, is on the operating table, sick and worn down by pain. The department can't afford the growing medical bills, so they've decided to put her down. Seth feels his chest tighten, like a fist squeezing his heart, as he watches the vet prepare the lethal injection. The doctor, seeing Seth's pain, offers him a chance to take Lexi home, to save her from death. But Seth knows deep down he's not in the right place to care for her, not when his own life is barely held together. So, with a heavy, silent nod, he lets the procedure happen. Later, Seth burns Lexi's body, a final, painful goodbye that leaves him hollow and emotionally drained, like another piece of his soul has been quietly erased. Later that day, something strange pulls Seth's attention away from his usual world. While at the animal control facility, he stumbles upon a hidden basement tucked beneath the cages where the animals live. It's a secret place, dark and silent, like a shadow hiding just out of sight, and it instantly sparks a cold flicker of curiosity inside him. But Seth quickly pushes the thought away, turning back to the only thing he can't stop thinking about: Holly. His mind twists into obsession. He dives deep into her life, scrolling through photos, reading every detail he can find, and scribbling notes in a worn notebook as if piecing together a puzzle only he cares about. So determined to make her remember him, Seth decides to confront fate, showing up at the restaurant where Holly works during her shift. But when he says hello, it's like he's invisible again. Holly doesn't recognize him, and just like before, she brushes him off like a ghost. Still, Seth doesn't give up. He asks her out to a concert, hoping maybe this time things will be different. But Holly, now clearly frustrated and fed up, storms away, leaving Seth alone in the parking lot, crushed, like a broken record stuck on the same sad note. That night, Holly walks home with a restless mind, every shadow feeling like a threat. She can't shake the feeling that someone is watching her. And then, from the dark corners of the street, she sees him, Seth, silently trailing her like a ghost she can't escape. Panic floods her veins as she rushes inside her apartment, breathless, telling her friend Claire about the chilling encounter. The fear isn't just in her head anymore. It's real, and it's creeping closer. The next day at the restaurant, Holly finds a strange bouquet of flowers waiting for her. At first, she thinks it's Eric, her boyfriend, trying to make up for a weird, confused phone call the night before. But when she asks Eric, he shakes his head. He didn't send the flowers. That's when the horrifying truth hits her. The flowers came from Seth, and his obsession has crossed a dangerous line. Seth's fixation grows darker, pushing him to follow Holly even closer, until one day he confronts her, finally admitting he was the one who sent the flowers. Furious, Holly lashes out, her anger boiling over like a volcano ready to erupt. But before things can settle, Eric bursts in, no warning, no mercy, and attacks Seth, beating him savagely before grabbing Holly and storming off into the night. The chaos leaves the air thick with tension, and Seth's world tumbles deeper into ruin. Despite the brutal beating, Seth refuses to back down. His mind twists deeper into darkness, fixating on Holly's personal diary, the one she writes in every single day. After sneaky efforts and careful planning, he finally gets hold of it, flipping through pages filled with her raw, hidden thoughts. Reading her secrets pulls him under like quicksand, every detail of her life trapping him tighter. But then, buried deep within her words, he uncovers something shocking, a secret so powerful it consumes him completely. It's a secret he's now obsessed with exposing, no matter the cost. So Seth's obsession spirals into a sinister new plan. The very next morning, he returns to the animal control department, haunted by that hidden basement he found earlier. There, he builds a steel cage, cold, unyielding, and terrifying, a prison for his twisted intentions. But Seth isn't done yet. To complete his dark design, he steals a paralyzing injection used on the animals, even testing the drug on himself to understand its chilling effect. With every step, Seth sinks further into madness, blurring the line between hunter and prisoner in a game only he plays. That night, Seth lurks in the shadows again, his eyes locked on Holly's apartment like a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When he sees the place empty, a cold thrill surges through him. This is his chance. Without hesitation, he sneaks inside, injecting her with the paralyzing drug that steals her strength and will. Dragging her unconscious body, he hauls her back to the animal control department, hiding her inside a box just as his co-worker Nate passes by. Seth's quick words and calm act keep Nate's suspicion at bay, but inside, Seth's twisted plan keeps moving forward. Once in the basement, Seth locks Holly inside the steel cage he built with cold precision. Hours later, Holly wakes, her body stiff and frozen from the drug's cruel grip. Panic floods her as she realizes the nightmare she's trapped in. Cold metal bars surround her, and escape feels impossible. Desperation takes hold, and she claws at the bars, even ripping off one of her nails. Her terror raw and real. Her screams slice through the silence, but the only answers come from the restless animals locked nearby, their noises swallowing her pleas. The basement is a prison, cold, dark, and merciless. Holly's life is now trapped in Seth's hands, and the endless night stretches before her like a black hole of fear and helplessness. The next day, Seth returns to the basement, but not before sending a twisted message. He brings Holly some food, but instead of a plate, it's served on a dirty toilet seat, a cruel symbol of how far he's willing to go to control her. His voice is cold and sharp as he demands she remember his name, bitterly reminding her that she never even bothered to learn it. Then, without a word, Seth vanishes for days, leaving Holly trapped in silence. When he finally comes back, he finds her collapsed and unconscious, weak from dehydration or pure exhaustion. Panic flashes across his face as he forces water into her mouth, desperate to keep her alive. Holly tries to stop him, begging him not to leave her again. But Seth's eyes are empty, and he walks away like a ghost, cold and detached. Left alone, Holly's mind begins to crack. The walls close in, and she starts seeing her friend Claire, or maybe just a desperate hallucination, appearing beside her in the dark. In a final act of desperation, she uses the filthy toilet seat Seth left behind because she simply can't hold on any longer. Trapped in this nightmare, Holly's body and mind fray like worn-out rope ready to snap. The next day, a rat scurries close to Holly's trembling hand, making her jump with a sharp cry. But something inside her has shifted. In a sudden rush of fierce survival, she crushes the rat beneath her fingers, revealing a darker, tougher side emerging from the shadows of her twisted captivity. Her fear is still there, but now it's mixed with a cold, hardened strength she never knew she had. When Seth returns, Holly doesn't hold back. She stares him down and asks bluntly, "Do you want to kill me?" Seth's voice is chillingly calm, like a nightmare whispering in the dark. "No, I don't want to kill you, but I might if it comes to that." Then, in a strange and disturbing confession, he tells her he's been in love with her since the very first moment he saw her. In Seth's twisted mind, mind, his actions are a warped kind of protection. He believes he's saving Holly from a world he sees as cruel and dangerous. After this unsettling exchange, Seth leaves again, but not before Nate catches a glimpse of him, raising a seed of suspicion. When Nate confronts Seth later, Seth lies smoothly and slips away, leaving the dark secrets to fester in silence. The quiet before the storm, and the danger lurking just beneath the surface, grows heavier with every step Seth takes. The next day, Seth returns, clutching Holly's diary like a twisted trophy. He throws it on the table and stares coldly at her. "I know everything," he says, voice low but sharp. "Every secret, every thought, every word you wrote down." The weight of his knowledge presses down on Holly like a heavy fog, suffocating and inescapable. Then Seth turns his gaze toward a darker question. "What about your friend Claw? Is she real?" Holly shakes her head fiercely, but Seth presses harder, his voice trembling with something between fear and disbelief. He claims he overheard her talking to Claw, but here's the catch. Seth insists he heard two voices coming from the cage, even though Holly was alone. Nervous and cornered, Seth asks the question that haunts them both. Is Claw really here? Holly's eyes dart, sensing a chance to twist the truth. She denies Claw's existence out loud, but inside, she imagines Claw standing just behind Seth, a ghostly shadow waiting to strike. Then, in a moment, heavy with cruel irony, Seth reveals the truth he's been hiding. Claw isn't real at all. She's just a hallucination, a terrifying sign that Holly's mind is unraveling under the weight of her nightmare. "You're sick," Seth says flatly, laying bare her fractured reality like an open wound. It's a bitter truth neither of them can escape. Seth's voice lowers, heavy with a cruel kind of clarity as he lays bare the painful truth Holly's been trying to bury. He tells her about Eric, the man she was once engaged to, and how she found out he was cheating on her with Claw. The betrayal shatters Holly, but Seth isn't done. He pushes deeper, revealing how that heartbreak exploded into a furious rage that led to a terrible car crash, leaving both Holly and Claw badly injured. But it gets darker. In her fury, Holly grabbed a shard of glass and stabbed Claw in the eye, killing her right there. Holly tries to brush it off, saying the diary was just fiction, made up stories to cope, but Seth's eyes are sharp, unblinking. "I knew they were fictions too," he says quietly, like a judge passing sentence. Then, in a chilling confession, he reveals he knows every twisted detail about the deaths she wrote of burning people alive, strangling others, all those violent urges laid bare on the page. But here's the real horror. Seth says his kidnapping wasn't just some sick obsession. No, he believes he's protecting the world from Holly, seeing himself as her dark savior, keeping her locked away from the police and the destruction he's convinced she's destined to cause. It's a nightmare wrapped in delusion, a twisted game of predator and prey where Seth is both captor and self-appointed guardian of a broken soul. The next day, Holly's whole mood feels different, quieter, almost like she's given up fighting. She moves slowly, wiping the dirt and grime from her skin with a strange calm that unsettles Seth. It's like she's slipped into a kind of numb acceptance, even though inside, her mind is tearing itself apart. When Seth tries to drag the conversation back to the murders, Holly cleverly dodges, twisting his questions and buying precious time to hold on to whatever hope she still has. But then, in a sudden, raw moment of desperation, Holly slams her head hard against the cold steel cage, blood trickling down her face. The harsh sound echoes through the basement like a scream that won't be heard. It's clear now. She's on the edge of breaking, her body weak and her spirit cracking under the weight of days without food or mercy. When Seth refuses to feed her again, Holly switches tactics, softening her voice and acting sweet, whispering that maybe, just maybe, she's fallen in love with him. Seth, caught off guard and craving any kind of connection, lets his guard down, agreeing to bring her food, falling right into her dangerous game of survival and manipulation. Nate, growing more suspicious by the day, watches Seth sneaking out under the cover of darkness and decides to take matters into his own hands. He quietly makes his way to the basement, heart pounding as he finds Holly locked inside the cold steel cage, a pitiful figure begging for rescue. "Please help me," she whispers, desperation raw in her voice. But before Nate can move to free her, the nightmare twists even deeper. Seth suddenly appears, his face unreadable. In a chilling moment of horror, Holly, once the victim, coldly points to a heavy rock nearby and urges Seth to kill Nate. Without hesitation, Seth obeys, smashing Nate's head with the brutal force of a hammer blow that ends Nate's life in an instant. The basement falls silent except for the sickening thud and Nate's final breath. Then, as if rehearsed, Holly's voice becomes eerily calm. She orders Seth step by step on how to erase every trace, removing fingerprints, pulling out teeth, and chopping the body into pieces. Over 2 long, grueling days, Seth methodically feeds the remains to the dogs, burying Nate's death in darkness. The line between captor and accomplice blurs, dragging them both deeper into a pit of twisted madness. As the police start digging into Nate's disappearance, all eyes turn sharply toward Seth. The officers don't hold back their suspicion, warning him coldly that they'll be watching every move he makes. This only tightens the noose around Seth's neck, twisting his fear into something darker and more desperate. Holly, sensing Seth's crumbling grip, ramps up her manipulation, twisting his love into a weapon she wields with cruel precision. She demands proof, a gruesome token, insisting Seth cut off a piece of his own finger to show how far he'll go for her. Hesitant but trapped by his obsession, Seth obeys, the pain real but nothing compared to the torment in his mind. Then, like a viper striking at the perfect moment, Holly grabs the knife and threatens to take her own life unless Seth frees her. Blinded by his twisted belief that she finally loves him back, Seth unlocks the cage, letting her slip from his control. But the nightmare isn't over. In a savage, brutal twist, Holly turns the knife on Seth, slashing his throat with cold, merciless fury before vanishing into the night, leaving Seth bleeding out, shattered by the very love that consumed him. The next time we see Holly, she's back with Eric, but nothing has really changed. The same dark, toxic cycle is still tearing them apart. Eric's lies and betrayals hang heavy in the air like poison, and Holly's haunted eyes show she's trapped in a nightmare with no way out. But the true horror waits in the shadows, creeping closer with every step. In the final haunting scene, Holly walks into a grim, forgotten house where a filthy, disfigured man sits locked inside a rusty cage. His face is twisted beyond recognition, his body broken and scarred. It's Seth, but not the man he once was. Missing a finger, his spirit shattered, Seth stares out with hollow eyes that speak of pain, loss, and a mind lost to madness. As the screen fades to black, the silence screams with dread, leaving us with no answers. Only the chilling reminder that Holly's twisted journey has only just begun, and the darkness she carries will never let go. What would you do if you found yourself trapped in a nightmare with someone obsessed enough to lock you away? Would you fight back no matter the cost, or try to find a way to disappear? Drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I want to hear how you'd survive this twisted game.